Hello and good morning. How are you doing today, MYM Insiders? We're here for our Tuesday morning ad clinic, and we're going to do a combo. We've also got a Insiders Open Forum question. I've got two different individuals that have, in one case, multiple submissions. So I think we're going to start with Shane. Alex is also with us. Alex, however, needs to dial in. And we're having a little bit of a struggle with that. Let me do something here, Alex. All right. Okay, Alex, I will have Chad get with you to work through that. Meanwhile, we'll jump over here to Shane. Shane has fewer things submitted anyway, so that should be not a problem. So, Shane, let me see if I can get you on the line. Shane, are you there?
Morning, Rich.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I don't recognize you. I don't think I've spoken to you before. Is that true, or am I just missing it and should be embarrassed right now?
Well, no. You tore apart one of my ads a couple of months. I don't know.
Oh, so I should be embarrassed.
No,
well, sorry about that. Tell me the excuse me. Tell me the company again.
Accurate Window and Door.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and pull your ad up. It was a relatively late submission, but I do have it here. Let me grab that real quick. Okay. I believe this is it right here. Does that look right to you?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. Now, I noticed that you're using the old school MYM template, so that's kind of cool. Did you?
Yeah.
Where did you get this?
It's on your website.
Okay. We used to use this thing all the time. I mean, this was like the bread and butter go-to tool. And since we've gotten away from training as much and we're more into, just providing services, we don't see this tool as much. So it's interesting to see it show up here. Tell me a little bit about what you're trying to accomplish here in terms of putting together an ad. For what purpose? Where would it potentially run? Who are you trying to influence with this? What are you trying to accomplish?
Okay, well, we're going to be doing some canvassing door to door, and we would be using this flyer during the canvassing, and if they're not home, or even if they are home, we'll be giving them this.
Okay, and whereabouts are you guys located?
Portland, Oregon.
Portland. Okay, so you got up early this morning. Thank you. Okay, tell me this. Have you gone door to door before? Is this the first time? If so, what have you used before?
I haven't gone door to door for storm doors. I've gone flyer I had.
Okay, so this is a kind of a new thing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what was your idea in terms of printing this out, and what size and shape and all that would it be?
It'd be an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper.
8.5 by 11. So just print it on your local printer there?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to design it, or are you going to use it just like this?
Probably just use it like this.
Okay. Now, I'll tell you one thing that sort of jumps out at me on this. I think it might be a little bit more interesting if you used a slight variation on the headline that was a little bit more inflammatory, which is, I could easily break into your home. Now, the reality is that may not be true for every person based on the kind of door they have, but it would certainly be a little more disturbing. And you say, well, I don't know if I want to disturb people, but I think it's disturbing in, an interesting, productive, thought-provoking way. What's your thought of that?
I like that. That's what I was going for with this headline anyway, so I like this.
Yeah, because now it's almost a challenge, and it becomes a little bit creepy. But I'm gonna tell you a little teeny story here. Not that you called in to hear a story, but I'm going to validate this idea that being a little bit creepy is probably good. I have a friend that I know through business named David, and he's a big believer in a concept that the emotions of love and hate are very, very close together. He says people think they're the opposite end of the emotional spectrum, and he says it's really not true. The opposite of love is indifference, but the opposite of love is not hate. Hate and love are really, really close. So he does things all the time in his business and in his personal life that put people in a highly agitated state, because he finds that when he does it, he has a better ability to make connections with them. In fact, he found that this worked when this is going back years and years. This guy I'm talking about, David, is roughly late 50s. But when he was a young man and he found a gal that he thought was, the cat's meow, and was interested in taking it a little further, he ended up marrying this woman. But he took her out and on their first date, took him out on a country road, driving 100 miles an hour, very unsafe, although he was familiar with the road, so he had a good idea of what he's doing. Screeched to a halt and pulled out a rifle and a shotgun from under the seat. She's like, what's going on here? And he said, well, we're going to shoot guns. She had never shot a gun in her life, and just put her in this highly agitated state, but he found it brought her actually closer to him. And that's kind of a weird story, and gosh, I don't know if it even makes sense here, but I think my first thought here was I could easily break into your home, and all of it almost makes you look around behind you, right? Oh, okay, is somebody watching me? What's going on here? So I think the next thing here is I could easily break into your home needs to be immediately followed by something that a little bit lets them off the hook. So let's play around with this a little bit. I'm going to write this down on my pad here. I could easily break into your home. All right, let's see what comes good after that. Let's see what you've got. Protect your family in possessions with a security door. No one is safe from the threat of burglary. I can't even read. Burglar. How is it that I can't say this common word? Burglary. Your door is a thief's most common target. Protect yourself with a steel security door. Let us make it easy for you. Now, let me tell you what I like this concept, but let me tell you what I don't like about this ad is that you take something that's very, very personal and you change it into something very impersonal very quickly. 1 in every 36 homes you drive by will be burglarized according to the FBI. It becomes almost this sort of passe statistic, hey, this kind of thing happens. I want them to focus and concentrate a little bit more on their home. This reminds me of an ad that I wrote one time. I'm going to pull it up if you don't mind. It'll just take me maybe 20 seconds to pull it up. So give me just a second and I'm going to do that. And it's going to be on this same template because I wrote it a really long time ago. Okay, client files, archive. Oh, what's that company called? Dynamo. There they are. All right, now I'm going to do a quick search for the word logic. All right. This might be it. All right, now this is not, I'm not saying, hey, here's the ad that you should run, because this is clearly a lot different, but I'm going to put it on here. Let's talk about this for a minute. The biggest threat to your video cabinets, this is for video games, okay? A company that creates video games. Could be an Allen wrench and screwdriver that some 13-year-old kid took from his dad's toolbox. 26 Phillips head wood screws hold some brands of video game cabinets together. The good news is logic board thieves will make you forget about your vandalism. Scary thought, but it's true. Some brands of video game cabinets are extremely vulnerable to vandalism. In fact, brands many brands make vandalism tempting to kids who are normally good because screws hold it together. And we kind of go into this idea that, hey, you're making it easy. You've put yourself at risk. And I'd like to take that to that sort of level. Let me just look for one other thing here. Let's see. I don't think I have another one that I was looking for. Let me search this one other thing. If I can't find it, we'll move to some more specific stuff. All right, this one is not. This one's kind of similar. My opinion, I think you'd be foolish to pay $200 less for a cabinet that can be broken into in 90 seconds flat. The extra $200 doesn't look so bad when your option is replacing a $3,000 logic board once or twice a year. Just to give you some perspective, the logic board is the part of a video game that's actually the brains of the game that costs all the money. Okay, Dynamo cabinets cost a couple hundred extra dollars at the time of purchase. Over the ensuing 15 years, they'll save you thousands. Video game cabinet that lasts 15 years protects your logic board from theft and requires almost no maintenance. Thieves know our cabinets are off limits. Super reinforced. We talk a little bit about how they're so strong. So are you seeing why this is coming to mind for me? It's a sort of similar situation. I could easily break into your home, your door. What are the doors typically that are broken into easily? Are they made out of wood or metal or vinyl, or what is it? Do you know, or is it vary?
Probably varies, but I'd say fiberglass is one of the biggest ones.
Okay. A burglar, how do they break in?
Usually through the lock.
How though?
The driver, sometimes they could even just use a credit card or something to just...
A burglar with a common $3 screwdriver can breach your wood or fiberglass door. Now, the reason I'm putting wood or fiberglass in there is because I think I just heard you say, hey, it really doesn't matter that it's wood or fiberglass. It's more the lock that's the issue. Is that probably true?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but when I come in later and I start to talk about steel security doors, I want them to feel like in their mind that there's a difference between the wood and the fiberglass, right, or the steel. A burglar with a common $3 screwdriver can breach your wood or fiberglass door and lock. And how long does it take them?
Usually not long at all. Usually
less than 5 seconds. Does that about sound about right?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. Now, you can fill in the details and fine-tune this a little bit. I could easily break into your home. And I might even do this. I could easily break into your home, and I might do this for subheadline right now in less than 5 seconds. Okay. Let's go over here. Let's pull this thing back up. I'm actually just going to use this as a template to rewrite this, okay?
Okay.
You see how that those two short staccato sentences really kind of bring it home?
Uh-huh.
I could easily break into your home right now in less than 5 seconds. A common thief, I can't spell, with a $3 screwdriver can breach your wood or fiberglass door in less than 5 seconds. That might be a little redundant. Common theme for the $3 screwdriver. Then we want to go into the solution, right? Because, you know, we don't have to really go into a lot of detail about the problem. You know, people will come in and steal your stuff, and you've got jewelry, and you've got electronics. People don't need that detail really filled in, right? What we want to do is we're trying to put the fear into them that this is easy to do and it happens all the time. Okay? Not in your neighborhood? Think again. You know, then maybe in here we put some detail about, you know, these thieves drive around looking for certain types of doors that they know are going to be easy. They then wait for people to leave, and they can scout out an entire neighborhood and break in through the doors. You know, they can hit 3, 4, 5 houses in an hour, right? I don't know if that's true or not, but it sounds like it's probably true. If I were a thief, that's what I would do. If I knew how to break into a house just by jamming the lock with a screwdriver, I would just sit around in a neighborhood. My gosh, I'm recording this, so if I ever come up on charges, I guess they'll have me. But I would just sit around and I would try to figure out, okay, how many people live in this house? Okay, they've got a mom and a dad and 2 kids. And then I see the mom leave at 5 o'clock to go take the kids to soccer practice, and I know because they got a soccer ball with them. And the girl's dressed up like a Girl Scout, so she's going to Girl Scouts, and there goes the mom, and I know the dad's not back from work usually till 6 o'clock. Boom. Easy, right? Now, in Texas, it's a little harder because you might get shot, but whatever. But here's what I want to do. I want to really focus in on how easy this is to do. I could easily break into your home right now in less than 5 seconds. Flimsy doors with cheap locks are no what? Won't even slow a common thief, burglar at all. Okay, so it's kind of like this, flimsy doors, or how about this? Your flimsy door and cheap lock, right? And it's even better. Won't even slow a common burglar at all. Don't think this can happen in your neighborhood. Think again. Now, here's an interesting thing. Do you have access to any police reports for a local, not like a local, you know, I live in a town called Southlake, and something like 20,000 people. So it's not a huge city, but it's big enough that you don't know most of the people that live there, right? But it's also a small enough community that we've got one high school, and it sort of has this community feel. So in other words, if you could show that there was police reports, not necessarily on my street or even in my subdivision, but just somewhere in Southlake where there were homes being broken into, that would have an impact on me. Now, if you said there's homes being broken into in Keller, which is one neighboring town over, I might look at that and say, well, you know, that's Keller. They've got their crime problems. But if it was here locally, you know, it might be worth the research to go to the local police or look at the police blotter. There's probably public records and say, hey, you know, what do you know about this? Or find a police officer and ask him. You know, if you can't find a police officer, just drive, you know, 75 miles an hour or 30 zone. You'll find one real quick. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to keep the focus on them and make this personal. So maybe we come in here and say 19 break and enters in South Lake in the last, 6 months. $11 through the front door. I don't know if you have that kind of data, or if you can get that data, or if the data actually supports that or not, but it would be interesting to research it. You see how that makes an impact?
Uh-huh.
Because here's what I always like to do when I'm writing an ad. I like to think through what somebody will think based on what I've said. So it's one thing to say, okay, well, what does somebody think about breaking in and doors and locks and all that? But here's what's a higher level thought exercise. If I say to somebody, I can easily break into your home right now in less than 5 seconds, your flimsy door and cheap lock won't even slow a common burglar at all. Here's what I want to try to think through. Well, what's somebody's reaction going to be to that? What kinds of questions or comments or defensive comments or anything is going to come to their mind? And it might be, well, not in my neighborhood, or I've not really heard of anything like that, or my door isn't susceptible to that, or, well, people don't break in through the front door. You see the exercise I'm going through here?
Uh-huh.
And what I'm trying to do is figure out, well, what kinds of reactions will people have, and what can I say to proactively hit that reaction so that it becomes, part of my narrative, which is you're going to get broken into. Your flimsy door and cheap lock won't even slow a common burglar at all. 19 break and enters in South Lake in the last 6 months, 11 through the front door. Solution. Now, one thing that you've got to do over here, I'm going to tell you one thing that is going to hurt you right now. When you say steel security door, what do you think the first thing that comes to people's mind is?
What is that? They probably don't even know steel, what's important about steel. They might even be like, oh.
Here's what I think of. I immediately, you got to remember this, people think in pictures, okay? They don't think in words or letters or concepts, they think in pictures. So what happens when you say protect yourself with this steel security door? People are going to immediately imagine the front door of their home, and they're going to imagine it with a steel security door on it. And they're going to try to put a picture in their brain of what that's going to look like. And when I look at my house in my mind with the steel security door, I see this big gray metal Fort Knox, lock it down, clank it shut door, and I immediately go, that looks like crap. Do you see that?
Uh-huh.
Can you understand that?
Yeah.
And then I think, well, they could paint it, right? Okay, clearly they're not going to put just, an unfinished steel door on my house. But then I think, well, it's going to be painted. Is it going to be heavy? Is it going to be unattractive? I've got a window on my door now. Can a window be accommodated? All these different things. So we've got to try to, overcome that by saying, the solution steel security door. How about this? I always like to say this when there's potentially a negative backlash. Believe it or not, steel security doors don't just stop thieves cold, ... but what? You finish the sentence.
House look great.
Yeah, believe it or not, steel security doors don't just stop thieves cold. They also look, then we'd have to wordsmith this. Stunning, beautiful, attractive. They also look, just as attractive, stunning, and beautiful as any quote-unquote regular theft-prone door. See, I made up a word there to further my narrative. Theft-proof. Theft-prone. Theft-prone. It's probably been said before, but it's not super common. Believe it or not, steel doors don't just stop these cold. They also look as stunning, attractive, and beautiful, whatever we have to wordsmith that, as quote-unquote regular theft-prone doors. So I'm again, trying to overcome the negative that happens there. So now I put it in their brain, oh, well, this is actually going to look good. How much do they cost? $1,099? Is that right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, and then you've got this picture down here. Is that a theft-proof door?
Yeah, that's one of our doors.
Do they all have that metal, decorative metal on them?
There's a couple different options as far
See,
as...
I look at that and I'm thinking, oh, yep, it looks like a jail door, but you just made the bars look decorative, right? Are there no, a typical front door is going to be sort of, plain wood or fiberglass, molded to look like wood. Do you have any that look like that?
I could check. I don't think I do, but I can look.
Okay, whatever it is, it is. If it has to look like this to have that, security measure, then that's okay. But, yeah, I'd like to show them a few. I'd like to show them a few and say, here's what they look like. So there's some ideas for you. I'll let you kind of run with those and see what you can come up with. Does that help, you think?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so let's just keep it personal. Let's make sure that we keep the attention on them and make them feel threatened at all times, unless they, partake of your excellent solution, which is this beautiful and theft-proof door. Okay.
All right.
I'm not 100% sure that I would come in here with pricing on the flyer.
Okay.
I think that, doors are one of those things kind of like windows where they cost more than people think. And the reason they cost more than people think is because people just don't ever think about them. How much does a door cost? I don't know. I've never bought a door. How many people have never bought a door before? Or maybe they bought a door, but it's like, in a closet or something, or because a kid, ran his head through it or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And you say, well, people have bought front doors. Well, there's a lot of people that haven't bought front doors. So when you start coming in and saying, look, it's $19.99 for two or $1,000, I might just leave that out and just say, how many different styles and options do you have?
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that.
How many do you have?
I think we're going to be offering 5.
How many are there in total, though?
90.
How many?
90.
90?
Yeah.
90 different styles. Now, see, here's what you're doing. You're saying to yourself, oh, well, I've got this special, so I've got to, limit it to these 5. But that's not really true. Here's the reality. What you can do is you can come in there and say, look, we've got a November special where we've got, $200 off of any door or whatever it is. I don't know what the number is, but some number of dollars off. We've got over 90 different styles that this applies to. To see more information, go to Accurate Window, see click on storm doors, you'll see that, or click on security doors, you'll see that, whatever the case is. But I'm going to tell you what, people are going to get this flyer and they're going to go to your website. So you're going to want to make sure your website is consistent with what you're saying on the flyer, okay? So that's what I have for you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, if you want to put something together and shoot it back over for a second look, I'd be happy to take a second look.
Fantastic. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for participating. And what are we going to do here? Not that. All right. Alex, are you there?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. How are you doing?
Just fine. It's a bright sunny day in Denver, Colorado.
Well, that's more than we can say down here in Big D. We've got rain today.
Oh my.
But, hey, we're glad to have you on and glad to have a chance to look at some stuff here. Let me get back over to your stuff. I think this is your stuff coming on the screen now. Does that look right to you?
That's true. That's one of the cards. This one involves humidifiers, and the other card involves high-efficiency air cleaners, also known as filters.
Okay, so let's start with this postcard, okay? Can I assume that this is the front and this is the back?
Well, whatever. This is the side that doesn't have the address on it, and the other side does have the addressee. The address obviously goes in the lower right corner.
My interpretation is always that the front is whatever side the address is on, because that's the side that people look at first.
You got front on the screen now, then.
Okay, and who are you going to be sending this to?
A selected mailing list based on U.S. Postal Service carrier routes in subdivisions where we would like to do work.
Every door direct mail?
Door direct mail.
Okay, good. I'm a big proponent of every door direct mail. It's just so darn cheap that it's a good deal.
And I have the company that is actually doing this, Research Products. Their brand name is April Air in this case. I've actually instructed them to use carrier routes that I have specified, and not to send the mailing only once, but to send the mailing 3 times at 2-week intervals.
Okay.
To the same addresses.
Well, you know me, right? I'm a big proponent of frequency.
Yeah, that sounds almost like the banker motto: more sooner is better.
Okay, so let's dive in here and take a look. First thing is, if the front truly is the side with the address on it, then you've got a back front issue going here, because you've actually set this card up for this, which is on the screen right now, to be the front of the card. Okay? The air inside your home is drier than you think. A whole home humidifier is the answer. Now, to verify this...
Obviously, we're trying to have people look at this side of the card. And the question is, will they look at this side of the card before it goes in the wastebasket?
Well, you've just got to verify mentally that people are going to look at the address side first.
Okay.
And to do that, all you have to do is look at your pile of mail that comes in your home mail every day. Your business mail is the same way, but your home mail. And notice that because of the envelopes, not necessarily the postcards, but because of the envelopes, they are address side up. Oh, and they're all facing the same way. So when you sit down to sort your mail, you look at it address side up. It just is common sense. So what you're doing is you're putting people at an immediate disadvantage by putting this on there, because it doesn't make sense unless they flip it over first, but this is what they're seeing first. Now, if we don't agree on this point, then we need to stop down and have a discussion about it. If we agree on this point, then we need to find a way to fix it. So which is it? Do we agree or disagree?
I certainly agree that people do look at the addressed side first. How do we get them to look at both sides at the same time?
Flounders have 2 eyes on one side of their head. I don't know if that helps or not. Probably not. My suggestion has been consistent for years and years, which is make the side with the address the front side, the side that you want them to see first. Your main headlines always go on this side. Now, that creates design challenges because you've got this part over here with this address, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret here that somebody should be telling you, but they're not. How's that for dramatic build-up?
I think it's very dramatic. Now be very direct and tell us what needs to change.
If this is every door direct mail, the requirements for the address are very, very in your favor. In other words, you don't need this big honking white spot for every door direct mail. You just don't.
So
you need to go to your...
Rich, this card may be used, well, it will be, although it's every door, it will have specific addressee addresses on it.
No, it won't. If it's every door direct mail, it'll have the address. It's by courier route. I mean, that's how they do it for so cheap.
Well, true. Frankly,
but regardless,
it'll be used both ways.
They only need a spot which is somewhere in the neighborhood of your coupon size on the entire card. That's all they need. So you're allocating probably 4 times more space to the address than you need to, which is good news if you're trying to put the main headline and idea of the card on the side of the address.
You're making a very good point, and there's a U.S. Postal Service publication 25 that would specify just exactly how big that space needs to be.
Well, and to my point, whoever's helping you do this, because you said there's a company that's going to work on you with this, they should know that and they should be telling you that. So get on their case a little bit. Tell them Rich Harshaw said he's disappointed. Now, let's pretend for a minute that we've got that behind us. So really what we need to do is we need to look at your front and say, okay, what do we think about this? Dry skin, sinus pain, wood floor damage, static electricity, family discomfort damage, respiratory ailments, the air inside your home is drier than you think, a whole home humidifier is the answer. Do you think that that headline is actually true? It may or may not be true. I'm asking you if it's true. Is the air inside your home drier than you think, or do people already know that it's dry?
Good question. I'm sure they certainly do realize that it's dry. Is it drier than they think? Well, possibly only if they look at something that gives the relative humidity.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I live in Dallas, so it's not dry here most of the year. It's dry kind of now, but 9 months of the year it's very humid. And you don't have to tell me that it's humid. I already know it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But here's what might be interesting. What if we just tweak this a little bit to say something along the lines of, the dry air in your home is causing more damage than you think? Because I think that's what you really mean anyway. Because, see, I might not relate sinus pain to dry air.
How about?
I might not relate wood floor damage to dry air. But as soon as you say it, then I go, oh, yeah, didn't realize that. But the guy's got a point, right? I want to focus on damage.
How about damage? How about damage and discomfort?
Yeah, good. Even better. The dry air in your home is causing more damage and discomfort than you think. Now, that might be a little long. It might need to be broken into 2 lines. And then, instead of saying a whole home humidifier is the answer, what if we put sort of again, we're just going to tweak this a little bit. Here's what I hope you're hearing me say. Hey, this is pretty good stuff. We're just tweaking here, right? Here's what I'm not saying. Alex, I can't believe you came up with this. This is terrible. Not at all. I think this is a good start. I think we can just make it a little bit more powerful. So what do we come up with? The dry air in your home is causing more damage and discomfort. I think there's a better word also than you think. What do you think might be a better word there?
Oh, boy, you got me thinking.
How about this? Realize.
Then you realize?
Yeah,
then you realize is better.
Yeah, and here, let me tell you specifically why it's better. Because if I say it's causing more damage and discomfort than you think, I really just kind of challenged them and said, hey, you didn't know this. But if I say then you realize, then I'm sort of presupposing by the way I phrase the question that, well, maybe they did realize it, but maybe they didn't. I'm giving them a little bit of benefit of the doubt by phrasing it that way, and I'm not challenging them so much. One thing I don't want to do when I write marketing is challenge people to where they could become defensive. And if it feels to you in this discussion like I'm thin slicing these words and I'm being very overly sensitive, that's probably true. I don't think the word think is going to cause half of your readers to rip it up in frustration and say, screw this guy, what a jerk, he doesn't even know what I think. That's not going to happen. But, you know, if we can make these little adjustments, we make them, right?
I agree. And I wholeheartedly agree that realize is a better word than think.
Okay, so let's go to the next one. A whole home humidifier is the answer. Now, you were on earlier when I was talking to Shane, I think, weren't you, when I was talking about, you know, trying to figure out what their objections are or what their response is going to be to something I say?
Yes.
Okay, so if I come in with the headline, the dry air in your home is causing more damage and discomfort than you realize, a whole home humidifier is the answer. I'm not sure that that's exactly the thing I want to say. Something in that neighborhood. How about something, you know, what are some, if I say a whole home humidifier is the answer, what are the objections people would have to that? And I don't mean people saying, well, that's not true, I don't want to do it. But, you know, if I say, hey, a whole home humidifier is the answer, what are some of the objections people would have that would cause them to say, well, you know, I don't know. What do you think they are? I mean, you're in this business. You should know this stuff.
Well, the reason it says whole home is that people attempt to increase the relative humidity in their homes using portable, obtained from Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever, portable humidifiers, which just plain do not do the job because the capacity is just not there. So that's why the whole home idea is there.
Do people know what a whole home humidifier is? Is this a concept that's familiar to them? Because now that you bring it up, I'm hearing you say that, and here's what I'm thinking in my mind. Okay, I know what a humidifier is. A whole home humidifier, what would that look like? Is that something that bolts onto my HVAC system? Is that some third-party piece of equipment? What is that? I don't really know what that is. Do most people know what it is?
Maybe you're raising a good question, and it would prompt people to call and ask.
Well, why don't just for our discussion's sake, why don't you tell me what it actually is?
A whole home humidifier is, in fact, a humidifier that usually, most often, is connected to the heating and air conditioning system in your home. Sometimes it's freestanding, but for the most part, it's connected to your heating and air conditioning system. And as a part of it.
It's sort of like bolted on, right?
Correct.
Okay, and we're just having a conversation right now. I'm just trying to gather data about how much do they cost.
If you install it yourself, you can buy one for as little as $200. If we install it, which takes several hours to do, the cost is typically from $1,000 to $2,500.
Okay, that's a pretty big range. What would be the most typical cost?
Most typical is going to be in the $1,000 range.
So on the lower end of your spectrum?
Yes, only when we get to the more involved steam humidifiers, which actually generate steam, does the price get up into the $2,000 range.
Okay. Again, I'm just gathering data. I'm not saying we're going to write all that.
I understand.
Okay. So I would say that if it's in the $1,000 range, I would say that could be considered inexpensive.
I'm delighted that you think so.
Now, here's where it becomes expensive. $1,000 that I wasn't planning on spending, $1,000 that I didn't even realize I needed to spend $1,000 versus spending that same money on any number of other things, right? That's when $1,000 starts to look expensive. But it starts to look really inexpensive when you look at it next to respiratory ailments, skin problems, damaged furniture, and stuff like that, right?
Correct.
So, I'm okay with calling things inexpensive, because I think if you say this is an inexpensive solution, and then you come over there to their house and they say, well, geez, $1,200, that's a lot of money. You're in a good position to say, well, let's look at that. But it's not like you're coming in and saying, it's a $32,000 investment. I don't think anybody under any circumstance would say $32,000 was inexpensive, right? For a humidifier, right?
True.
So it's not. Are you making that distinction with me? Because I think we could come in here and say an inexpensive.
Rich, may I interrupt?
Yep.
One thing that people might think about when you say inexpensive is the fact that they could go to Home Depot and find a humidifier on the shelf that they can purchase with the idea they'd install it for themselves. The Home Depot price is about $200. And the problem that we see is that people look at this $200 price at Home Depot or Amazon, whatever the case may be, and they say to themselves, how can this possibly cost another $800 for somebody who will install this $200 item?
And the answer is?
The answer is, I just don't. Well, the answer is it takes us who do it all the time 5 hours to install one. But the homeowner obviously can't understand that, doesn't understand it, can't even visualize it.
How long does it take a homeowner who's not ever installed one before to install it?
I don't know, but it's got to take them at least twice, maybe 3 times as long as it does us. And furthermore, the list of tools that are required to properly install one. I have a list, and I'm looking at the list right now, there are 48 line items on the list of tools it takes to properly install one.
Okay, so that it's really not even a valid objection. But see, I don't know that most people that get this postcard particularly are sitting there thinking, well, I'll just go to Home Depot and do this myself.
You're probably right.
I just don't think they are. I mean, I'm sure you've ran into people before that said that, but I don't think the average guy is going to look at this and go, well, I'll just go to Home Depot.
Well, sir, the average guy, the person who is interested in solving the issue or the problem, you're right, the bargain hunter, that is the people that we probably won't do business with anyway, may do all of this research, which we're finding an increasing number of people do. They go to the internet, they go everywhere they can, and they shop until they drop to come up with all of the details involved in anything.
Yeah, but who cares?
Well,
who cares?
That's right. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, here's the deal. I got a neighbor that lives right next to me. His name is Kyle. I don't have any doubt in my mind that this guy's got all 48 tools, and he can do it himself. I don't have any doubt in my mind. This guy can build anything. This guy's there's 3 people live in his house. They've got 6 cars because the guy works on cars for fun. I can't even fathom working on cars for fun. That is like the opposite of fun for me. That is like a torture sentence. This guy is good with tools. This guy could probably do that. And if the guy said, hey, I've got a weekend, I'll go get my own humidifier and I'll put it in. Great. Go for it, Kyle. What do I care? Right?
Point well made. I agree with you. Who cares?
On the other hand, there's a guy like me that goes, tools? What's that? Or even more specifically, or more probably common, oh, geez, I didn't even realize that you could build this into your HVAC system. That sounds complicated.
Okay, now, Rich, how do we make this appeal to the Rich Harshaws of the world?
You just tell them what it'll do. The dry air in your home is causing more damage and discomfort than you realize. Professionally installed, built-in, whole whole home humidifier will permanently eliminate these problems. Now, that might be overstating it. I don't know. Are you comfortable saying permanently eliminate, or is that overstating it too much?
It may be slightly overstating it, and it may be more somehow complicated than it needs to be. Will permanently, I don't know, moisten your home, alleviate the problem.
How about this?
Something.
Let's get rid of the word permanently. Let's just use the word eliminate. Professionally installed built-in whole home humidifier will eliminate these problems. Right? Now, here's what's just happened. In the space of 2 headlines and the accompanying pictures, these things will take roughly 1.5 to 3 seconds for somebody to read and interpret, okay? And during that time, their brain, working extraordinarily quickly, has had a chance to run all those scenarios through their own personal set of experiences. You with me?
Yes.
So in other words, they're gonna say, well, does anybody in my home have static pain? Yes or no. Dry skin? Yes or no. Wood floor damage? Yes or no. Static electricity that's a pain in the butt? Yes or no. And if they come up positive on any of these elements, then they're going to pause and they're going to think about this for a minute. If they don't come up positive on any of those elements, then they're not your customer, right?
True.
I mean, why would you want to sell something to somebody that doesn't solve any problem for them? But in this very short amount of time, I've laid out the problem, I've identified it, and I've shown them what the solution is. And what I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to get somebody to get caught on one or more of these 4 elements. I'm trying to make them say, yeah, I didn't realize that there was, because here's the problem people have is they have these issues and they sort of just resign themselves to them. And, we got in the fire.
That's very true. They live with unbelievable amounts of discomfort.
And they don't even realize, that there's a solution. They just kind of say, well, that's just how it is, right?
That's true.
My wife had this pain in her ribs for like 3 years. She went to every doctor on the planet, and they all said, oh, well, we can't find out what the problem is. It's just there's no solution. So that was all in the first year or 2. And then for like about a year and a half, she just went around in pain, not like agonizing, constant pain, but, this pain, right? Saying, oh, my gosh, I guess that's just it. This is just my lot in life. And then I finally told her, go to a freaking chiropractor. See what he says. Oh, no, chiropractors are quacks, blah, blah, blah. She goes to the chiropractor. The guy sticks his thumb on her rib and says, oh, it's right here, right? Yeah. And then he doesn't even push hard. It's not like he even cracks her back. He just massages it for about 10 seconds and goes, there, that'll fix it. You got a rib out of place. And she never even heard of such a thing as a rib out of place. And it was still sore for about 2 days, and now for the last 5 months since she went there, it's fine. People just say, oh, I guess that's it. I guess dry skin, I live in Colorado, of course. What else would I expect? Static electricity, I live in Colorado, what else would I expect? Well, maybe you should expect no static electricity or dry skin. So now we flip this postcard over, and on the back, we start hitting the other objections. Portable humidifiers, won't work.
Won't work, won't do the job.
Portable humidifiers won't work. What other things do people try to do?
Say that again?
What other kinds of things do people do to eliminate these problems?
The portable humidifier is the only thing I can think of that they do. They put lotions and so forth on their skin to avoid the dry skin feeling. I can't think of any other obvious alternative. Got to get the humidity up. You can move to Hawaii, I suppose, or move to Houston,
Portable
Texas.
humidifiers won't work. Install a real solution that will solve the problem. Then we come down here and see what I'm trying to do is just use some powerful words, right? I'm not that concerned that I haven't gone into any details yet. I want them to know portable humidifiers won't work, won't cut the mustard, won't, can't get the job done, are lightweight, are only a temporary fix or a Band-Aid on a serious problem. I want to say something like that. You need install a real solution that'll solve the problem. And then we can go from there. Probably just one paragraph of text. So you don't need to put all this stuff in here that's on this side. You know why?
It's fine print. It's fine print, and I don't see people reading.
Well, that's not the reason. The reason they don't read it is because you're not saying anything that isn't already common sense. On the front side of this, we've said, look, dry skin, sinus pain. We told them that there's a solution. Mm-hmm. So we don't need to tell them the specifics. It's going to remove allergens. They already understand. It's going to make me not have dry skin, not have sinus problems, not have furniture problems, and all that, right?
Okay.
They go, okay, I got it. So what we need to do is just explain to them how this works. Many people don't realize that a total whole home solution even exists. ... Instead, they buy portable humidifiers, parentheses, that don't work. Rub lotion on dry skin. Take medicines for sinus problems. And constantly dust their homes. Right?
Yep.
Here's a better solution. A whole home unit can be, added to your HVAC system. It takes professional, the right tools. See what I'm doing? I'm just sort of hitting this objection a little bit without really hitting it directly.
Okay. Are you keying in all this text now?
I'm just writing it down on a piece of paper.
Okay.
Takes a professional with the right tools about 1 day to install. Then, for the rest of forever, you can live static-free, dust-free, dry skin-free,
crack-free,
and in total comfort. You'll be frustrated that you waited so long. The solution is literally one phone call away. Easy to afford. Totally worth it, something like that.
I like what you're doing. Have you got that in a format that you could give it to me?
If you can read my handwriting.
Oh, I can probably figure it out.
You can read my shorthand. But here's the thing. you know, what we're doing is we're taking this and making it more humanized, right? You've got this thing now that looks all, you know, sort of corporate, big company. And the reality is it doesn't really speak to the issues.
It doesn't speak to the issues on a people basis.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of comes into somebody's mailbox and says, if you have certain problems, then we have a solution. And it sounds all official. And what we want to do is say, hey, man, you have these problems? Gosh, they suck. You don't have to have that problem. Come on, let me show you this. It's a total difference in tone, right?
Agreed.
Let's look at the next one. Improved health and comfort, a whole home cleaner. Is that different than the other thing? Is it the same thing, or is it two things, or is it one thing?
It's the same. It's the same idea, and obviously the graphics are virtually.
No. My question is the piece of equipment the same? Is there a humidifier and a cleaner? Is it the same thing? Is it a different thing?
No. It's a completely different piece of equipment.
Okay. Can you have both of them?
You can and should have both.
Okay, and I'm assuming then you try to upsell to both.
True. Oftentimes they'll decide that they'd like to have one first, and then they decide later on they'd like to have the other item. Many times.
Yeah. To me, that's a sales problem.
Well, it is, but there's a financial issue, of course. People.
No, there's not. Crap, man! It's $49 a month. How's that a financial issue?
Oh, crap! I'm going to have you come and beat on my customers.
You don't have to beat on them. You just have to present it in a way that they go, oh, that makes sense. What if you did this? What if you had some kind of way to administer a quiz on your website or something like that? That would be kind of fun. You know, take the health and comfort home air quality quiz. I don't know. I'm just thinking. Anyway.
I hear what you're saying. I've thought of that idea too. You go down a list of questions and people are basically answering the questions, and they're basically also answering the solution, or they're giving the solution to what they're sensing.
Yeah, so here's what I would do. I would create the exact same thing we just did, but for this product. I mean, it's the same thing.
Yep.
So instead of dry air, it would be what? Dust and allergens?
Dust and allergens, yep.
Are causing more damage and discomfort than you realize?
Yeah, it winds up being all those things. Allergies are a big thing. Asthma is a big thing here.
Yeah, so maybe you come in, let's talk about this in more detail. So asthma, what else? What are the symptoms?
Sneezing.
Okay, what else?
All of the breathing, everything that you can think of that would deal with breathing.
Allergies.
Discomfort due to stuff in the air. How do you describe that?
Eyes.
Itchy eyes. And in some cases, there's the odor issue. Really high efficiency air cleaners will suppress or eliminate odors.
Okay, so here's what I'm trying to say.
Take smoke particles out of the air if there's a smoker in the home.
Okay. Eliminate, or significantly reduce whatever you feel like you comfortable can say, asthma, sneezing, allergies, itchy eyes, odors, with a whole home air cleaner. And it's kind of like we talked about before, a whole home. Did you notice what I did earlier? It was a little bit subtle, and I didn't really stop down to dwell on it, but let me go back. Professionally installed built-in whole home humidifier will eliminate these problems. Yep. Do you realize how tricky that was, what I just did? I said professionally installed built-in, professionally installed, comma, built-in, comma, whole home humidifier. And I'm putting something in their brain that they probably didn't realize existed, but I'm making it extraordinarily explicitly clear what it is without using any words that they're not familiar with, right? They can put this puzzle together in their mind very quickly.
It's
Professionally
almost
installed.
It's sort of a subliminal suggestion you're making.
Well, let's look at it. Professionally installed. What does that mean? You can't just run down to Home Depot and get this, right? Built in. Oh, it's somehow built into my HVAC system, but I didn't say that, but I've implied that, and it's understood.
You say
whole home humidifier.
You say built in. We actually fabricate custom sheet metal work to go with it. Can we work that idea in, or should we?
No, it's not necessary. It's too much. It's,
okay.
It's called built in, right? Here's what it's
built
not.
in.
It's not something sitting over on your freaking counter.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Professionally installed. See, here's what people are going to say. I don't know what a whole home humidifier is. I don't even understand the concept of that, just like I was earlier, remember? But when I say it's professionally installed built in, they go, oh, this isn't some plug-in thing. This isn't something that I put on the counter. This isn't something that is, sort of a Band-Aid. This is some professional grade crap going on here. And I don't even really know what it is, but it sounds really cool. And it sounds really like an actual thing, that's an actual solution, not some little stupid thing like I've used in the past. And then I use this strong language. We'll eliminate these problems. Oh, okay. This is how you actually fix this. I got it. Clear as day.
There's another advantage to these that I haven't mentioned. A typical furnace or air handler filter needs to be changed regularly, once a month, once every 2 months, once every 3 months. These high efficiency filters only need to be changed once a year. So changing your furnace filter once a year is quite an advantage to many people.
Okay, we'll work that into the copy down there somewhere else, right? I don't want to put it in the headline, but that is a good point. So we do the same thing over here with these postcards. So yeah, I mean, with this cleaner thing, it's just the same exact concept.
Yeah, cleaner as opposed to the humidity thing. They are parallel ideas, really.
Yeah. So then when you go into the home, you say, okay, well, clearly you called me. You've got some humidity, dry air issues. Tell me about that. Oh, well, we've got skin. We've got eczema. We've got, static electricity. We're always shocking each other. Whatever their particular problem is. Okay, great. Well, here's how that works. It's this, this, and this. And, it takes us these 48 tools and 5 hours to install, and it's this big deal, and it's, it bolts on here to this, and we fabricate that, and you only have to do the filter once a year, and, they start at $49 per month, or if you want to pay cash, we give a little bit of a discount. It's about $1,200. Which of those sounds better? Oh, geez, okay, gosh. Yeah, I don't really have $1,200, but I'll do it for $49 a month. Whatever, maybe you can or can't do that. I bet you can. But then, as soon as they go say that, you say, yeah, well, let me ask you this: are you sneezing? Do you have any kind of allergies? Is there anybody in your home with itchy eyes? Now, let me tell you something. The humidifier is going to help. It's going to take some of the particulates that are in your home, and they're going to attach to the humidity, and it's going to help. However, it's not going to eliminate those kinds of problems. Here's why. Because those kinds of problems are based on this X and this Y and this Z. Now, we've got a companion unit that's called a whole home air cleaner. And if you run just the air cleaner, here's what's going to happen. It's going to remove this and this and that, and it's going to remove some of those particulates, and it's going to really significantly cut down on, the allergens and so forth. Now, let me tell you what the cat's meow, the bomb is here. It's to do both of these things together, because once you eliminate these particles and you humidify the air, then essentially all the discomfort that you could possibly have now or will have in the future is gone. Now, if you buy these two units separately, this one is X and this one is Y, but when you buy them together, because we're installing them at the same time, there's efficiencies on our part, and we have the ability to actually do it for less money than if you had this one now and that one later. And my recommendation is, if you have any of these kinds of issues at all, then you need to get both of these done. And instead of $49 a month, it goes to $79 a month. When can we start?
You sound like me giving a sales presentation.
Yeah, well, that's how it goes, right? So it's easy. Anyway, let's look at your next thing, because we're running out of time here. I mean, it is a Tuesday morning ad clinic, not a Tuesday, late afternoon ad clinic. Is this your thing here?
That's the thing.
Okay, I recognize you. Who's this other guy?
There's Tim Stevens on the left and yours truly on the right. Tim Stevens was in your Denver presentation when you were here.
Okay, I remember you, but I don't remember him. Maybe it's because I ended up talking to you quite a bit, and I probably didn't talk to him. All right, so what is it? A website? Is that right?
That's an MYM.
Like
That's an MYM identity piece.
All right. I'm going to try to pull up the one that's a little bit bigger just so I can see it better, okay?
All right.
Where's that thing? That's not it. There it is. This is just going to allow me to make it bigger on the screen. All right. Okay. To get the maximum comfort and safety for your money, count on us. Too many HVAC technicians function just like salespeople selling new systems for high commissions. I mean, that's real consistent with what we had talked about last time, right?
Yes.
One thing I would probably do different, I don't really like this centered long text. We need this to be columnized so it's easier to read. Most of them are hourly technicians, not business owners, so they are not really interested in long-term relationships, having hundreds or even thousands of happy customers. They get paid a modest hourly rate, but they get big bonuses if they can sell you a whole new heating cooling system. So when faced with opportunity to repair. Now, this sounds extraordinarily similar to something we've already reviewed before, is it?
It very likely is text you've seen before, and the arrangement on this page is probably done by Don Byram.
Okay. In regards to the text, I'm just looking at it going, okay, I've already reviewed this, so I'm not sure that I necessarily need to review it again. Systems, when we do our job right, you may never call on us for a replacement system again. That's okay with us.
What I don't know is, frankly, how this is going to be used in printed material or as a web page. If it's used as a web page, I have lots of misgivings about it.
For instance?
Fine print. Hard to read. You pointed out the long lines as opposed to a couple of columns, but you had to blow it up so that it was legible to you. People who look at a web page shouldn't have to use any enlargement function to be able to read what they're looking at.
Well, let me say two things on that point. Number one, I totally agree with you. Number two, I had to blow it up because it wasn't even actually the size of a web page, right? It was this big. That's not how big a web page is. A web page is more like that, right? But your point is still valid. I think that we could probably make this easier to read through a little bit. What I'd be interested to know is where's the stuff we reviewed last time? Is this directly it, or is it something, or did we make changes from this already?
It's been probably mildly modified by Ben Lane.
Okay. Yeah, I think what I would like to do on this is maybe just look at this a little bit. I don't want to necessarily go through this right now on the call. I'd rather fine-tooth comb this a little bit with Ben. I think we've got the genesis here for exactly what we need, but I think we need to work these headlines a little bit. shorten them up. You know, this blue headline down here, clearly way too much stuff going on. We just need to make this a little, there's some readability issues that we need to deal with here.
Okay. I appreciate your willingness to do that.
Yeah, not a problem. That's what we do. That's what we do. So I'm going to punt as far as this call goes, but I'll definitely take a look at this on the back end, okay?
All right.
Let's do this. Let's jump over and just briefly cover your questions about mission statements, which I found to be an interesting question, and you will be surprised to hear what I'm about to say. In all my years of doing marketing consulting, I've never actually had anybody ask me about mission statements, because it kind of falls outside of the element of marketing.
Well, let me be the first.
Can you clarify the distinction, if any, between an identity, mission statement, and a vision? An identity, a mission statement, and a vision statement. Tell me what your interest is in this topic of mission statements.
I think what puzzles me is how they could be and should be used.
Do you guys have a mission statement?
Not one that, well, I've done them in the past, but I do not have a current one. What I want to see, first of all, is my identity statement. And from the identity statement, I will give it a lot of thought to come up with what I think of as a mission statement or possibly a vision statement. It's all semantics.
Okay. You know, I think that depending on the company and the situation and the industry and other factors like that, I think that the mission statement and the identity statement could have some definite overlap and influence on one another. And I also think it's possible that they could be fairly different, okay? Because, hey, I'm not an expert on a vision statement or a mission statement. The difference between a mission and a vision statement, I have no idea. That sounds just like pure semantics to me. One person can call it a vision statement, another person call it a vision. I don't know. So you might need to find a different expert to help with that question. But in my opinion, a mission statement is, here's what our company is going to stand for and accomplish in the marketplace. Okay, and it can incorporate things such as leadership in the marketplace, customer service type elements, and things like that. I mean, if we look at the one on your screen here,
well,
the dominant service.
Could you say that a mission statement is actually doing the things that make the identity statement happen?
Well, so the reason that we like identity is because it forces us to be specific, right? And the reason I don't like mission statements usually is because they're not very specific. So I think where you're really going with this is, hey, if we're specific with our identity statement, does that help to forge an effective and useful mission statement? I think that's really what you're coming and asking me. And I think the answer is yes.
Okay.
Because if you look at the one that's on the screen right now, this is why I'm not a fan of mission statements, because I think they're bullcrap most of the time. The dominant service company in Northeast Tarrant, Dallas, Tarrant County, whatever, our goal is to provide the ultimate customer experience by striving to exceed every customer's expectations. We will employ and nurture development employees in the best environment. I mean, this is all a bunch of junk. It's not actionable.
Well, it's true.
It's not specific.
It's not me. It's a company that I pulled out of the air.
Yeah, I understand. I know this isn't you, but this is the problem I have with these. But it also would be the problem I would have. This would be the same kinds of things that you would hear on websites. I mean, they might not say we're going to be dominant and feared and stuff like that, but
what if you had a mission statement that was really an extension of the identity statement?
Well, I agree with that. So
okay.
What if we came in and said, Denver Air, I'm going to make this up, okay? Now, I don't know if you want to be the dominant company or if you want to take over, but see, those kinds of things to me are really inconsequential because you don't have a lot of control over how much dominance you have and how much fear and respect that you instill into everybody. What you have control over is how you conduct yourself and how you conduct your business, right? And whether or not people are feared, whether or not you take over the whole business and dominate everybody is really outside of your control. You with me on that?
Certainly.
So I feel like those hyperbole type statements aren't really worth a lot. Here's what I think is worth a lot. Denver Air will strive to be, the ultimate customer-friendly.
Friendly, courteous, and kind. Isn't that the
customer-friendly,
Boy Scout thing?
Customer-respecting, customer-centric HVAC company in Colorado. There's just an opening salvo, okay? Denver Air will strive to be the ultimate customer-friendly, customer-respectful, customer-centric HVAC company in Colorado. Now, already, if anybody were to read that was an employee, because these are generally internal things, right?
Yes.
What are they going to take away from what I just said? Customer's number one in this company, right?
It's a value.
I've used the word
issue.
customer 3 times. Denver Air will strive to be the ultimate customer-friendly, customer-respecting, customer-centric HVAC company in Colorado. Now, we will accomplish this, right?
Yep.
By ... Now let's just fill in the blanks. I'm not trying to impose anything on you. I'm not saying that stuff I'm going to say here sort of as I'm making this up are accurate to your company, but it'll give you an idea, right? Yes. Denver Air will strive to be the ultimate customer-friendly, customer-respecting, customer-centric HVAC company in Colorado. We will accomplish this by always doing what?
Everything from being on time to listening to you name it.
No pressure.
No pressure. We listen. Something.
No pressure. No tricks. Sales. On time. Or it's free. Maybe you don't do that. I don't care. Whatever.
And something I'd like to work in, if it sounds right to you, is we take a personal interest in you and your comfort systems. The idea of personal, I don't know how the typical homeowner thinks of people like me, but we really do take a very personal interest in the family, how they live, what their desires are. We have an extensive real estate background, so we can think like people who want to give the homeowner a comfortable place to live.
Okay. Now, ultimately, a mission statement will be valuable to you if people in your company can read it and walk away going, okay, I know what we stand for, okay? And they can also judge what you do and what you say against it, and they can see if their behavior is living up to what you say or not. So, for instance, Denver Air will strive to be the ultimate customer-friendly, customer-respecting, customer-centric HVAC company in Colorado. To accomplish this, we will always, and then I just put these things. We'll need to word it a little bit different. No pressure, no tricks in sales, on time, or it's free, period. No phantom sales for unneeded repairs. Personally care about our customers and their health and comfort. Fair pricing and clear explanation of why we charge what we do. Okay, and maybe that's not comprehensive. It probably isn't, and you may want to change those points up. But here's what I'm trying to say. Now when when an employee looks at this, they're going to judge their action against what these expectations are, right?
Yes, and not only that, it can be used in an employee performance review frame of mind.
And then we might come in with a third section. We can't deliver on these promises
unless
without exceptional, dedicated, honest, moral.
Yeah, let's not get carried away here.
I love the word moral. I would love to impose that on an HVAC guy.
Oh,
without exceptional, dedicated, honest, moral employees.
Your upbringing is showing, Rich.
We will screen all new hires rigorously. Oh, loyal, also moral and loyal. Rigorously.
With our marijuana situation here, we have to be careful what we say there.
We will screen all new hires rigorously. Only people who fit our culture and share our values, our corporate values, see above, right, will be allowed. I love that word, allowed. You're not allowed.
Allowed to work.
You're not allowed.
Allowed to work here. Allowed to enter your home. Whatever.
We will train well. Hold people accountable. And reward well based on merit. Something like that, right? Now, here's what happens. Employee reads this and says, oh, I know exactly what kind of company I work for. Then you could also take this and you could publish it to your customers, right? Because you're right. This is your identity.
Yep.
Denver Air will strive to be the ultimate customer-friendly, customer-respecting, customer-centric HVAC company in Colorado. To accomplish this, we will always, treat people right, whatever, by applying no pressure, no sales tricks, on time or free, period, no phantom sales for unneeded repairs, personally care about our customers, their health and comfort, fair pricing, clear explanation of why we charge what we do. We can't deliver on these promises without exceptional, dedicated, honest, moral, loyal employees. We will screen all new hires rigorously. Only people who fit our culture and share our corporate values, see above, will be allowed. We will train well, hold people accountable, and reward well based on merit. I mean, this is a real strong start. So
excellent.
I think there's some interesting stuff there. Hopefully you wrote all that down because my writing is terrible. But I'll take a picture of it and send it over to you.
Great. Do you do transcripts of these webinars?
Nope, we don't. But we do make them available so you can watch them again yourself.
Okay.
Yep, and we'll generally have these posted within one day, 2 at the most. So I think that's it. I think we're done.
I very much appreciate your contribution to our effort, and I thank you very much, Professor.
Appreciate you being on here, and we'll see how this all pans out as you start to implement. It'll be interesting to see. Thanks, Alex.
Bye-bye.
All right, see you. Bye.